Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at a watch which is very well known in the affordable watch community, the Orient Bambino. So the unboxing process isn't really too much of an unboxing process because we've just got this red velvet pouch and we have the watch within. So we have a guarantee book and a little handbook as well, and then we have the watch itself, and it comes with this little tag as well, which is pretty nice. So no box as such, however, we do have a pretty useful travel pouch, if you will. So the Bambino itself, obviously looking at it, is a very classy, smart dress watch, and for the price, it's got a very, very good reputation for being, really, really nice, well built, good looking, well put together watch. So let's have a look at it in closer detail then, and discuss it. So this is the second generation of the first version. And you can tell the difference because the very first generation had just water resist in the second half, in the bottom half of the dial, whereas this is water resistant. Really, that's the only difference between those generations. So price-wise, you can get it for around about 125 to 150 pounds. In dollars, that equates to about 160 to $200, anywhere between them. So price-wise, really, really good, really competitive considering the things you do get. Well, pretty much the main selling point behind it is, well, first of all, the way it looks, the quality of the dial, but also you get an in-house Orient movement as well, which is really, really impressive. So let's discuss the size then. So I've got just over 7.25-inch wrist for reference. And let's put it on. So the first thing that I noticed was it did appear a lot larger than I was initially expecting. So the diameter is 40.5 mil. And for me, I think the looks of it, the style of it, definitely lends itself towards a more of a 38 mil diameter. However, it's not a negative thing. It just was slightly more imposing than I originally assumed or thought. Obviously, I'd looked at plenty of pictures before actually purchasing one. So it was larger than I expected. We still have a pretty slender height of 11.5 mil, and you can see here a good chunk of that is actually the mineral crystal. It's highly, highly domed, and that is part of the charm of the watch in its entirety as well. And then a lug-to-lug length, relatively short, of 46.5 millimeters. So really, really comfortable to wear, really good. 11.5, in terms of specification, actually seems quite high, whereas when you're actually wearing it, because the case itself isn't 11.5 mil, there's a good couple of mil there, which is the domed crystal. It does still wear really, really easily, really nice and comfortable underneath, slips underneath the cuff really easily as well, because the case itself has a really, really low profile, as you can see. So weight 65 grams, so a reasonable weight, really, really comfortable to wear as well because it's not too heavy, but it's not too light that you do notice you are wearing a watch, which is a good thing. Water resistance 3 atmospheres or 30 meters, so you really, really want to avoid getting any sort of water around it. I mean, it says water resistant on the dial, but that's a little bit ironic really, because if you do submerge it in water, you're going to be asking for trouble. You get a 1-year warranty with this watch as well. Now, the lug width is really, really frustrating, 21 mil in width. Obviously, straps, I mean, you probably will want to change it eventually because it's not tremendously amazing quality. But 21 mil is so frustrating because obviously straps tend to come in either 20 mil or 22 mil. This is right in the middle. So you will have to go quite specific to get a replacement strap, which is a right pain in the bum. Discussing the movement then. The movement is the Orient F6724. Of course it is. So that movement is, obviously made in-house by Orient, which is obviously very impressive considering the price. Specs-wise, we got hand winding, automatic winding, a hacking seconds hand as well, 22 joules, approximately 40-hour power reserve. It ticks all the right boxes. The beat rate is a low beat rate of 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so that's 6 ticks a second. So really, it's on par with something like one of the Seiko NH movements, like the Seiko NH35, for instance, or a Miyota, for instance. So let's have a look at all these different aspects in closer detail then. So starting off with the dial. First of all, let me just adjust the time. There we go. First of all, really clean, really classy. I think one of the main things that really impressed upon me when I first viewed it was the dome to the dial. Really vintage inspired. You're thinking of watches from the 60s, for instance. But as you can see, if I get cross section, even the hands are bowed as well to imitate this dome to the dial, but it creates a really sensational viewing platform. And when you couple it with this extremely domed crystal, really, really nice. It has so much character because of that. It looks really, really smart when you're viewing it. The backdrop of the dial as well has a very subtle sunburst effect as well. It's quite difficult to get a decent shot of it, but to the naked eye, you can see this like explosion of texture coming out from the center. Very, very subtle, as I mentioned, but very classy and quite elegant as well. The hands and the hour markers. So the hands, first of all, are pretty straightforward Dauphine pitched, fully polished as well, so they catch the light nicely depending on the angle. And then our hour markers, relatively flat, but not flat in a way that they don't look good quality, if you know what I mean. They still look decent, especially under the macro lens. Everything is really pucker. The applied logo is quite light as well, as you can see. However, it's in terms of design, with I assume it's two lions either side of a central badge or a shield. Quite accurately constructed considering the detail there. The date window as well, nothing too crazy or exciting about it, but a nice subtle black line bordering around it, and it's neatly cut out of the dial as well. Moving on to the case then, so it's polished on the top of the lugs, including the very thin bezel, and then we have brushed sides as well, quite curvaceous lugs as well, might I add. And then moving on to the case back, obviously it's picked up quite a few scratches because it is fully polished case back, and then we have these various details in the center there, very quite lightly laser etched, which is a shame, but having said that, it is quite detailed. Just having a look at the crown, so it's a push-pull crown, and again we have the Orient logo engraved on the end there. So all in all, the case and the dial really well manufactured, no complaints whatsoever really. It would be nicer if the case back didn't pick up scratches quite so much or had slightly deeper engraving, but that's one of those things that you win some and you lose some on an affordable watch. Moving on to the strap then. As I mentioned before, 21mm, quite unusual. I'm really surprised they didn't stick with just a standard 20mm, because it also does, that 1mm makes quite a bit of difference actually, because it does look thicker than your eyes would imagine it to be. Some people will like it, some people will think, it would have been nicer if it was a little bit thinner, would have looked a little bit more elegant or a little bit more dainty. However, the colour of this stock strap is really unusual. It's a really, really dark brown, but it's so dark that this is a very unusual strap, because I find that I can wear this with brown suits or even black suits as well, because it's that dark. Obviously I tend to pick a watch depending on what suit I'm wearing, so to have a watch that will do both black and brown or grey, etc., is quite unusual. So it's really, really easy to wear with whatever you're wearing at all. So thinking about the buckle, standard Tang buckle, fully polished with Orient, the logo just laser etched on top there. Again, it would have been nicer if it was engraved, but we can't have everything. Quality of the leather isn't amazing. It will do for the price. And to be honest, I haven't had a need to replace it. The patent alligator style isn't really my cup of tea anyway. However, I still haven't felt an urge to change it. So it will do. However, chances are eventually you probably will want to change it, because as you can see, it's starting to degrade a little bit. And I don't wear it a crazy amount, but I have had it for about a year. Okay, so let's get the macro lens on then and have a look at it in much closer detail. Starting off with the dial then, so might as well start with the logo. You can see very dainty, delicate applied logo there. Very neat print work as well. And if we have a look at the teeny tiny printing at the bottom, that's almost invisible to the naked eye, and yet it's really neatly, accurately done. So we can also see this backdrop to the dial, this sunburst effect, very nice gentle texture to it. And then our hands, again, so neat and accurately manufactured with our very sharp edging to these Dauphine hands, and then a pretty standard point for our second hand. However, you can see if I go at an angle, we can see the curve there of the second hand, and over here we can see the curve of the minute hand as well, and indeed we can see the curve of the dial here also. So creates a real nice viewing experience with this dome to the dial. Looking at these hour markers again, all really remarkably neat for the price, and fully polished as well. And then our date window, we have a printed border and then like a step down border to the date wheel itself. So very neatly done considering the price. Moving on to the case then, if I just give this side a bit of a wipe. So we have our brushed side, which is very handy against not picking up scratches compared to a fully polished side, so that's a sensible choice in terms of manufacturing in my eyes. And then a polished bezel. You can see it has picked up a couple of teeny tiny scratches, but as I said, I've had it for over a year, and it has held up reasonably well, let's say. Let's have a look at this crown then, and there's our logo accurately and neatly engraved on the end. Decent grip as well on the crown. So flipping it over, let's have a look at this case back. Now this case back has picked up a number of scratches. However, the engraving of the central piece motif is still quite accurately done, and then the details surrounding the outside there, very lightly engraved. Then moving on to the strap. So it does look a lot browner when you look at it close up. Might just be the lighting. And we have this lighter brown stitching as well. And moving on to the buckle, you can see, if I just give it a very quick wipe down, you can see they're laser etched, and I've picked up a little bit of a scrape there. Obviously it is fully polished, so you'll have to be aware of that. So there we have it. So yes, there is negatives. There's you can't deny the fact that it's a mineral crystal is a bit of a bummer. In my eyes, the case back could probably do with it being a little bit more exciting, but again, that's not really a negative. It's just one of those things. And the buckle could probably do with being a little bit more exciting as well, just laser etching. However, the quality of the dial and the case in general far surpasses those concerns. It is vintage inspired, you can tell, and for the most part, a mineral crystal or a perspex crystal really lend themselves to the authentic kind of feel of a vintage watch, and the beautiful dome to not only the crystal but also the dial as well is so impressive to the eye. And just the finishing of the dial is sensational for the price. There's no doubt about it. And let's not forget that this is housing an in-house movement as well. You don't see that for this price anywhere else apart from Orient. So they're doing such a remarkable job on looking after that little segment of the affordable watch market, if you will. Orient are actually owned by Seiko, however, they're keeping themselves separate, which is a good thing as well. So, really, really impressive. Looks-wise, it's really classic and elegant, and you can't go wrong with it. If you're looking for a watch like this, then this is one that is seriously hard to beat. And really, if you like the look of it, then I would just say, what are you waiting for? Just get out there, buy one, and try it out for yourself. Because I really enjoy wearing it, and it's so impressive for the price. Under £150 for getting a watch of this quality is unheard of. So this was the Orient Bambino version 1 second generation, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys, and please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment as well. Okay.